Hey guys, Mr. Bicen. Thank you very much for joining me on this live stream. Something that would be very helpful for me is just to know that I'm live. So I've got the chat over here. So if you can just tell me, you can hear me, you know what's going on, that would be very, very helpful for me. And I'm very impressed that people have come along to join me on this session because, I mean, for me, it's a beautiful sunny day outside. I've just been taking a little break before I did this because I've had a whole day of making videos for my upcoming aiming for A-star sessions. So I've been very, very busy making lots of videos, making lots of preparations for those kinds of things. And I'm already seeing we've got like Adam in the chat who's coming to some of the aiming for A-star sessions next week, which is brilliant. And I'm so excited about doing these. I've revamped them from when I've done them last year, and I think they're going to be really good. So I wanted to just tell you a couple of things before we get going on the speed run of an AS paper. I've literally just come back a few days ago from Turkey, and it was just the most amazing trip. I got to speak so much Turkish. I think before I left, I'd had 27 hours of lessons, and for like the first time, I was able to speak to some of my family in Turkish. It was just absolutely amazing because previously, I'd have to use a translator, I'd have to speak via somebody else. So, although I'm not learning maths at the moment, learning Turkish is such a logical, it's a really logical, structured language. I've been finding it really fascinating. Still like learning new things. Last year I learned so much about the further maths options modules, and now I'm learning everything about Turkish as well. And of course, while I was in Turkey, I had to buy some Turkish maths books. So I think I'll probably be doing, if you're interested, I'll probably be doing some questions from some of these books. They are like sort of year 12, year 13 kind of stuff. This one's on logarithms. So I think I'll probably be doing some of these questions in some videos. And I took a lot of video footage when I was in Turkey. I am going to sort of debut my first bit of speaking in Turkish for everybody. That's going to be something I'm doing in a couple of weeks, probably after I've been doing all of these sessions that I've got here. Let me see what else we've got going in the chat here. So someone said, am I going to give myself a time limit of 45 minutes? If I give myself a time limit, I probably won't have to do much talking as I go through this. But, I don't know. I think I will go as fast as I can do with a little bit of explaining as well. Asim, if you just drop me an email about any stuff to do with the bursary, I'll see if there's anything I can do to help you out with stuff as well. And Rian, how does it feel to say I'm saving students' maths grades nationally? I don't know if I'm saving them, but I hope that even if I'm giving you a bit of advice somewhere, that would be really, really helpful. Bicen Turkish. Yes, I am going to do my Turkish video soon. So I'm going to do this for just AS because I will do some A-level papers as well. But for speed running, this is something actually that there's a student called Awan who is in my Discord server, and Awan sort of came up with this idea of like speed running an AS paper is a really useful thing for maybe you guys to try as students, because some of the stuff that we're doing in the exams is about being as speedy as possible, but it's very difficult to be speedy when the question's very challenging. So it's a good idea if you want to kind of like sharpen your skills, sharpen your speed in an exam paper. It's a good idea to try this with an AS paper because in theory it should be easier. The content is narrower, so there's less to have to kind of know about before you do the exam. And maybe try and go as fast as you can and see if you're making silly mistakes. It's just a really useful experience to do. So that's why I felt inspired to do this AS speed running. So thank you, Awan, for that idea that we've got there. I'm looking at stuff in people's comments. Bidonian, I'm better than all three of your teachers. Love that as well. Yeah, and Breezy's shouting out about R2 Drew2. R2 Drew2 is a brilliant YouTuber. So if you do need any help with any like the challenge questions or some of the other niche parts of the course, R2 Drew2 is brilliant. So I've got on my iPad, I've got 2018, 19, 20, 21, 22, and 23. I didn't want to prepare for this. So the first year that somebody says in the chat out of 2018 to 2023, that's the one that I'm going to be doing. So I'll be looking in the chat, and as soon as that happens, I am basically going to just open up. Okay, so the first one that I've seen is .8, which is 2022. So that was the first one that's in the chat from my kind of point of view that I've got over here. So let me open up AS Pure 2022, and then we will get started. So someone should probably keep an eye on the time of this. Here is the paper. I'm going to get started. Okay, so let's begin. The time is now, it's basically 5:05. I think 5:05 is probably going to be, let's see if it's going to be exactly 5:05. In fact, I'm going to put a timer on my phone so that we can really keep track of this. Okay, so here's the stopwatch. Let's go. Okay, nice easy question to begin with. We're just going to be doing some integration. But before I do this, you're going to hear me speaking very fast. I'm probably going to rewrite this as 3 over 2 x to the power of minus a half plus 5 with respect to x. So I'm just going to increase the power by 4 and divide by 4, so I get this. I'm going to increase the power by 1, so I get a half, which means timesing it by 2, so it's going to be minus 3. And there'll be a plus 5x plus c. I probably will check this as I go. So if I'm going to differentiate this, I do get 8x cubed minus 3 over 2x to the minus a half plus 5. Yep, everything looks good, so I'm pretty happy with that question. 4 marks, done already. Okay, next question. I'm going to mark it all at the end and kind of see how that goes. So we're going to use the factor theorem to show that this is a factor of this. All we need to do for the factor theorem is therefore substitute in minus 3 into this function. So that's going to be 2 times by minus 3 cubed plus 5 times by minus 3 squared plus 2 times by minus 3 plus 15. Because it's a factor, I'm not even going to bother putting it in my calculator. I'm just going to say that it's 0. It then wants me to find these constants so that I can divide it by x plus 3. Well, of course, I'm going to do my very speedy method for this. So I'm going to say 2x cubed plus 5x squared plus 2x plus 15. I'm going to divide this by x plus 3. I'm not going to do algebraic division for this. I'm going to just go straight in. So to get a 2x cubed, I need there to be a 2x squared. But that gives me a 6x squared, and I only want there to be a 5x squared. So I'm going to do a minus x so that I can have a minus x squared to kind of contribute to that. This gives me a minus 3x, but I want there to be a 2x. So I need 5 extra x's. So there is going to be a plus 5 like this. The 3 and the 5 do multiply to the 15. If you expand this, I guarantee you will come up with the same thing. Part C of the question, it says, hence show that it only has one real root. So that means I'm going to investigate the 2x squared minus x plus 5. I'm going to choose to do this using b squared minus 4ac. B squared is going to be minus 1 squared minus 4 times a times by c. So that is 1 minus 40, which is minus 39, which is less than 0. Hence, no real roots. No real roots. So the only root is minus 3. Okay, I think that's enough for this. And then it says write down the real root of the equation, f of x minus 5 equals 0. So when we have f of x minus 5, that means that the whole graph is shifting 5 spaces to the right. So if it's minus 3 and it's going 5 spaces to the right, the new root is going to be 2. Okay, so 2 is going to be that root for this one. I need to have a little look in the chat and see what's going on here. Okay, so this is pretty quick for these things. Let's try question 3. I'm going to mark them all at the end. I've got a mark scheme as well. If there's anything in the chat that I'm missing, I'll have a look every now and then. What did someone say? Oh, yes, Evie is cool, did say something. I've already lost a mark. I needed to say here, hence by the factor theorem. I can't believe I've already lost a mark. Hence by the factor theorem, x plus 3 is a factor. So thank you very much to Evie is cool for that. It's very good. I do need to have the statement of saying hence by the factor theorem, I believe. So I do think, Ash, I actually do need this one. Okay, we're going to find out what we've got PQR, so we've got PQ and we've got PR. We're going to find out what QR is equal to. Now, there's lots of different ways of doing this, but when I see QR, I always think of doing the second letter minus the first letter. So I want to find out what R minus Q is. PQ is Q minus P. And PR is R minus P. So I want to find out what R minus Q is. Well, if I do this one minus this one, this is just how my brain sees this. If I do PR minus PQ, I get R minus P minus Q plus P, because when you minus the P, it becomes a plus. And so those cancel, and we just get the R minus Q, which is the thing that we want. So in order to find out what QR now is, QR is just going to be PR minus PQ. So that's 13 minus 15 minus PQ, which is 3, 5, which is just 10 minus 20. Now, to show you how this also works, if you think of a triangle that we've got like this with PQ and R, P, Q, and R, if I want to find out what QR is, I can find out QR by going QP plus PR. So another way I could have done this is to do QR is QP plus PR, and QP is minus PQ. And this thing that we've got here is exactly the same as this thing that we've got here. So there's two different ways that we could have approached this, okay? So what have we got now? It says, hence find the magnitude of QR, giving your answer as a simplified third. So the magnitude of QR is just going to be Pythagoras to that thing, which is 10 squared plus 20 squared, which is going to be root 500. And root 500 is 10 root 5. Okay, question C. It says the point S lies on the line segment QR. So we have QR. I still want to draw a diagram such that QS to SR is 3 to 2. So S is going to be here. That's 3 and that's 2. And we want to find out what PS is. So P is going to be somewhere else. I don't really know where it is. To get to PS, I'm going to have to do this. So PS is going to be PQ plus this distance along QR, which is 3/5 along QR. 3/5 along QR. And we've already worked out what QR is. PQ, I think, is in the question, which is 3/5. And then I'm going to add on 3/5 of QR, which I think I've just worked out, which is 10 minus 20. So it is going to be 3 plus 3/5 of 10. 3 plus 3/5 of 10, which is 9. And then it's going to be 5 plus 3/5 of minus 20, which is minus 7. So PS is 9 minus 7. If you wanted to, we could write this as 9i minus 7j. This is the 2022 paper that we've got here, okay? So what have we got to do now? Yeah, 3A was a time cost, but the reason it was a time cost is because I'm so obsessed with teaching. I couldn't just answer the question. I even had to like show people how to do it. So this is screaming out sine rule, cosine rule, stuff like this. And we want to show that this thing is true. I'm not even really reading the question here. I'm guessing this is just going to be a cosine rule kind of question. And I'm going to be focusing on like this part of the part for the cosine rule. So I know the cosine rule is that a squared equals b squared plus c squared minus 2bc cos a. And in this case, the a squared is the opposite side, which is 3x plus 10 squared. That's going to be then these other two, which is x plus 2 squared and 7x squared, minus 2 times by x plus 2, 7x, and then cos of the angle that's in between, which is 60, and I know that cos of 60 is a half. So expanding these brackets, that's 9x squared plus 60x plus 100 is equal to x squared plus 4x plus 4 plus 49x minus, I'm going to just treat this as a 2 and a 7x, that's 14x. So that's going to be minus 14x squared minus 28x. And those parts are actually being multiplied by a half. So I'll save a bit of time. And I'm going to change that to a 7 and a 14. And hope that I haven't made any mistakes in doing this. And then gathering all of these values together, the x squareds, I have this one, and this one. Looks like I'm going to be putting it all onto the left-hand side. So that's 9 minus 1 plus 7. That's 15x squared. Ooh, something's gone wrong here, because I'm supposed to have 17x squared. 49x squared. Yes, 49x squared. Thank you. I knew that something had gone wrong here because I wasn't getting the 17. So I now have the 9 minus, I'm going to put it onto the right-hand side instead. I can look up at the chat and people are just giving me the answers. So it's 49 plus 1 minus 7 minus 9. That's 34x squared. The x terms, I have 4 minus 14 minus 60. That's minus 70x. And the constants, I have 4 minus 100. 4 minus 100 is minus 96. And I hope that these things can then all be halved. So yes, they can all be halved, which leaves me with 17x squared minus 35x minus 48. Thank you for people saving me in here. I guess the stream is making me realize to go slow. Yes, if you go too fast, you're going to make mistakes with these things. Then it says, hence find the value of x. So I can just put this in the calculator, right? So, polynomial 2, 17 minus 35 minus 48. Interestingly, we could factorize it. I'm not going to do it as a factorizing. We just get that x is equal to 3 because the other value is minus 16 over 17. And obviously we don't want a negative in this case because we need it all to be positive kind of stuff that we've got there. Then says, hence find the value of theta, giving your answer to one decimal place. So now that we know that x is 3, I'm going to redraw this diagram like this because I just think it's a lot easier. So if x is 3, this is 5, This is 3 times 3 plus 10, which is 19. This is 7 times 3, which is 21. And this is 60, and I want to find out theta. So I want to find out for this one, the sine rule. So the only ones that I'm going to be using, I'm not going to be using the 21, okay? I'm just going to be doing sine theta over 5 is equal to sine 60 over 19. Sine theta over 5 is equal to sine 60 over 19. So sine theta is 5 sine 60 over 19, and then I can just find out what theta is. So I'm in degrees mode. 5 sine 60 divided by 19, inverse sine the answer, and I get that theta is 13.2 degrees. Have I done anything here? Yep, I think that seems fine. It looks like it's roughly the right kind of size that we've got here. I could use the cosine rule again if I wanted to. You can use a highlighter in the real exam, but if you use the highlighter in the real exam that you've got, they can't see anything that's like necessarily underneath it. So just be careful with like how you're gesturing with these different things that we've got here, okay? That's question 4. And what are we on so far? 11 minutes. Okay, let's go a bit faster. Okay, we've got some exponential modelling here. A equals PQ to the T. And it says data records that there's a linear relationship between these things. So they want me to find out P and Q for this APQ to the T that we have here. Okay, I'm going fast. So A is PQ to the T. I'll worry about the context later on. I'm going to take logs. So that's log A equals log P plus log Q to the power of T, which I'm going to put like this. And then the equation that we're comparing it to is log A equals 0.03T plus 0.5. So the 0.03 is the thing that is going with the T, which is log Q. So that means that log Q is 0.03. So Q is 10 to the 0.03. The log P is the bit that goes with it, which is 0.5. So that's 0.5, which means that 10 to the power of 0.5 is P. Wonder what it wants P and Q to. 4 significant figures each. 10 to the 0.03 is 1.072 to 4 significant figures. And 10 to the 0.5 is 3.162. Both of those are to 4 significant figures, okay? It then says, with reference to the model, interpret the value of P and the value of Q. Well, I want to actually now write down what the model is. So the model is A equals PQ to the T. A equals P times by Q to the T. And this is where I think I actually need to read a bit about the context of what's going on here. By the way, I'm going to pause for a second. Am I going too fast? Would you rather me go slower and do a bit of explaining? Just tell me in the chat what you'd rather kind of see for this, and it's also going to give me a chance to have a bit of water. I don't think I do need to write the full equation. Yeah, it does say to find the, giving the value of P and Q. I'll tell you what, I've got it here, so I'm just going to start part B of the question at this place that we've got. Okay, all is good, fine, faster, a bit of explaining. Okay, I'll try and do as much as I can do. If you're getting overwhelmed with too fast, just watch it and enjoy for watching some maths at a high speed, okay? So let's remind ourselves what's going on here. It is saying that T is the number of weeks and A is the mass of the algae that's in the pond. So I think here that this P value, which is the 3.162, is the mass of algae. The mass of algae at the start of the study, when first recorded. And Q is the factor by which it increases every week. And I would write down, i.e., it increases by 7.2% each week. And that's because I can see here that it's got 1.072, which means it's a 7.2% increase that we've got here. Yeah, this is the 2022 paper. So is there anything else that needs to be done? Find, according to the model, the mass of the algae in the pond when T equals 8 to the nearest 0.5 kilograms. So T equals 8, A equals 3.162 times by 1.072 to the power of 8. Literally just typing on a calculator, making sure I don't make any mistakes when I type this. And that is just 5.5 kilograms to the nearest 0.5. That was part 1. And then part 2 for this question is the number of weeks it takes for it to reach 4 kilograms. So that's now just solving an equation instead. So it's going to be that a is equal to 4. So it's 4 equals 3.162 times by 1.072 to the power of t. So I'll do 4 divided by 3.162 is 1.072t. I like using ln. So if I do the ln of this, that would be the ln of that to the power of t, but I'll put the t in the front. So the t is just that thing divided by that thing. So I will do 4 divided by 3.162, ln my answer, divide it by ln of 1.072, and I get that t is 3.381 weeks. But what did it ask for? The number of weeks that it takes. So I'm just going to give it to 3 significant figures. I'm going to say 3.38 weeks. Now, I hope I haven't made any mistakes, but we'll have a look at the end and see if I've got any errors when I have a look at the mark scheme for this one as well, okay? What have we got now? State one reason why this may not be a realistic model in the long term. Well, if we think about what this model is actually talking about, as t increases, the mass is just going to increase and there's no upper limit to this as well. So I'm going to say the model has no limit for a, meaning the algae can grow continuously. The algae can grow continuously, which is unrealistic. So we'd probably need to have some kind of limit, some kind of domain for t that stops it being too big. Okay, we'll check and see if we've got it right later. We're now just going to do some binomial expansion. So we'll do the first 4 terms of this one. So it's the power of 8. So I know that if I'm just going to go straight away, it's going to be 3 to the power of 8 plus 8 for the binomial coefficient, 3 to the power of 7 minus 2x over 9. The next one I'm going to do is going to be 8 choose 2. 8 choose 2 on the calculator is 28. So it's going to be 28 times by 3 to the power of 6 times by minus 2x over 9 squared. And then I will do on my calculator 8 choose 3 to get the binomial coefficient, which is 56. I'll do 3 to the 5 and I'll do minus 2x over 9 to the power of 3. So 3 to the power of 8, that is 6561. And then I'm going to do 8 times 3 to the power of 7 times 2/9. It's going to be negative, so it's minus 3,888x. 28 times 3 to the 6. And then I'm going to times that by a 2 squared and divide that by a 9 squared. It's going to be a positive, and I get positive 1008x squared. And then 56 times 3 to the 5 times by 2 cubed divided by 9 cubed. It's going to be negative, and I get for this one negative 448 over 3 x cubed. I'm just going to double check that. Yep. Okay, part B of this question. Anything that I've got here. Okay, good. So the lag is not too bad. 140 people in the chat. Wow, that's cool. I'm really pleased with how many people we've got here. Let's keep going. Try not to get distracted. We then have this new thing, and it says find the coefficient of the x squared in this expansion. So this thing is really weird looking. Okay, we want to figure out x squared that we've got here. Not really seen anything that looks like this. So what am I going to do with this? That's a very interesting looking question. I'm going to divide them both by x and see what happens. Okay, so I have my x minus 1 over 2x. If I was going to sort of split these as 2 separate parts, this is an x over 2x minus 1 over 2x like this. I don't know why I've put the brackets. And so this first one is just x, those x's cancel, so it's just a half. And then this other one is a half x to the minus 1. So I'm actually going to be expanding a half minus a half x to the minus 1. That's going to get expanded with the 6561 minus 388x plus 1008x squared minus 448 over 3 x cubed. And I just need to figure out, how do I get x squared from this? Well, I will get an x squared by this one being multiplied by the x squared term, and by this one being multiplied by the x cubed term. Those are the two places that I would get an x squared from. So the coefficient is going to be a half multiplied by the 1008 plus the minus a half multiplied by the minus 448 over 3. So we had the blue parts, and then the other part there was the green part. I can't help myself but try and teach as I'm going. So 1008 divided by 2, and it's going to be a plus 448 over 3 times 2, which is 6. And I believe the answer is 1736 over 3 for this. Okay, let's keep going, see how much we're going to do. That was hard. Do you see how that had me pausing for a second, being like, this looks really weird, but I simplified the fraction, and then I could go from there. So, factorize completely. 9x minus x cubed. You might think that you stop here when you just do x, 9 minus x squared, but we've got to go further. So it's going to be 3 minus x, 3 plus x. It's a difference of 2 squares. And then it wants us to sketch this, showing where it crosses the axes. So I will think about the shape of this. It's a quadratic. It's crossing at 0. It's crossing at 3. It's crossing at minus 3. So I said quadratic, I meant cubic. It's a negative cubic, so it's this shape because of this one. So it's going to be going here, here, here. Minus 3, 0, 3. Y, x. Done. Nothing else needed. Then it says the line L has equation y equals k, where k is a constant. So it's going to be like a horizontal line like this. Given that the curve and given that the C and L intersect at 3 distinct points, find the range of values of k, writing your answer in set notation. So here it's only intersecting at 1 point, because you can see there's only 1 intersection. Here it's 2, here it's 3. So it's all inside this range that we've got here. So we need to find out what are the coordinates of these turning points. This is going to be the thing I need to discover here and here in order to do this. Is there an easier way that I can do this though? Y equals k intersecting at 3 different points. I think I probably am going to have to do a quick bit of differentiation to find those turning points. So if y is 9x minus x cubed, when I differentiate this, dy by dx is just 9 minus 3x squared. And then when I solve this so that it's equal to 0, that's just that 9 is equal to 3x squared. So 3 is equal to x squared. So x is equal to plus or minus the square root of 3. When x is equal to root 3, I'm going to find out what the y coordinate is. So that's going to be 9 root 3 minus root 3 cubed. Well, that's 9 root 3. Root 3 cubed is going to be 3 root 3, so it's minus 3 root 3. So that's 6 root 3. And when x is equal to minus root 3, presumably it's going to be the same thing. It would be minus 9 root 3. We'll see though. It would be minus 9 root 3 minus root 3 cubed. So that's minus 9 root 3. Minus root 3 cubed is going to be minus 3 root 3. So it becomes plus 3 root 3, which is minus 6 root 3. So now I know something. I know that this y value is 6 root 3. That's 6 root 3. And I know that this y value is minus 6 root 3. So as long as k is in between those, then there will be exactly 3 solutions that we've got there. Have I done something wrong? I don't think so. Okay. So now that I've got this, I'm going to put it in set notation. Did it want set notation? I'm just guessing it. Yes, giving your answer in set notation. So we are going to say that it's between minus 6 root 3, after I've defined that it's k dot, minus 6 root 3, k, 6 root 3. I'm not going to include the or equal to signs, because if I did, those points would represent that there are only 2 solutions that we have got there. So I think that's everything. If I've rushed, I'm definitely going to make some mistakes. So I keep looking at the chat to be like, is anyone here? Like, yeah, I know I'm not checking the calculator. When I was your age, I didn't use the calculator very much at all. So what have we got here? Another exponential modelling. Air pressure inside a car tyre, T minutes from when it developed a puncture is given this. Okay, well, I'm already thinking pressure inside a tyre, puncture, the pressure is going to decrease. And I can see it's going to decrease because that power is minus 0.5. Where k is a constant. Given that the initial air pressure is 2.2, the units are the same, so that's all good. Find the value of k. Well, I just have that 2.2 equals k plus 1.4 to the power of 0. Sorry, 1.4 e to the power of 0. That's just 1.4. So I'll do 2.2 minus 1.4. So k is 0.8 for the first part. From the instant when the tyre developed the puncture, find the time taken for the air pressure to fall to 1 kilogram. Give your answer in minutes to 1 decimal place. So P is equal to 0.8 plus 1.4 e to the minus 0.5t. And I'm trying to find out when the pressure goes to 1. So that's going to be 1 equals 0.8 plus 1.4 e to the minus 0.5t. Simple equation solving. I'll subtract the 0.8. I'll divide by the 1.4, which is, I can't help but do extra lines. I'm just going to do this all in one line. I'll ln so that I get minus 0.5t. I'll multiply both sides by minus 2. When I multiply by minus 2, I do get t. So I shall do 0.2 divided by 1.4, ln the answer, times it by minus 2. That's just how I type things in the calculator. 3.89 to 3 significant figures. Did it want it in any particular form? It wanted it to one decimal place, so let's just get rid of that and just leave it as 3.89 that we've got there. What was it in minutes? Minutes. Part C of the question, find the rate, interesting, the rate makes you think of differentiation, which the air pressure in the tyre is decreasing exactly 2 minutes from the instant where the tyre developed the puncture. Give your answer in kilograms per minute to 3 significant figures. So I now need to differentiate for part C. P is equal to 0.8 plus 1.4 e to the minus 0.5t. It said rate, so I'll differentiate. dp dt, the 0.8 goes. The 1.4 is going to get multiplied by the minus 0.5, so it's going to be minus 0.7 e to the minus 0.5t, and they wanted it to be when t was 2 minutes from when it developed the puncture. So this is that dp dt is minus 0.7 e to the minus 0.5 times 2, which is just to the minus 1. So it's is it minus 0.7 e to the minus 0.5 times 2, and we get that the rate is minus 0.258. Did it want it in any particular way? 3 significant figures. The air, it's decreasing. Find the rate at which it is decreasing at 2 minutes in kilograms per centimeters squared. So this is to 3 significant figures, but because I've got the negative, it is decreasing. So I'm just going to write down it is decreasing by 0.258 centimeters. What did they even say the unit was? Kilograms per centimeter squared per minute. Random. Kilograms centimeters squared per minute. I think it needed a worded part here because I just wanted to make sure I was fully answering the question for this one that we have. Okay, we've got a nice log question. P equals log base 3x. X is greater than 0. Find in simplest form in terms of P. This one. Okay, this just looks like a classic log law. So I'm going to write this as log base 3x minus log base 3, 9. Log base 3x is P. They told me that in the question. And log base 3 of 9 is just 2. So it's just P minus 2. This is log base 3 of the square root of x. So that's just a half log base 3x, which is just a half P. And then part B says hence or otherwise solve this equation. So I'm going to use what I've just done in the previous part. I'm going to have 2 lots of this previous thing. So that's 2 lots of P minus 2 plus 3 lots of the second part, which is a half P, is equal to minus 11. So that's 2P minus 4 plus 3 over 2P is equal to minus 11. 2 plus 3 over 2 is 7 over 2. So it's 7 over 2P is equal to minus 11 plus 4, which is minus 7. So P is equal to minus 7 times 2 divided by 7, which is minus 2. And P is log base 3x. Log base 3x is minus 2, which means that x is 3 to the power of minus 2, which means that x is 1/9 that we have here. Okay, so I think that's fine for this. Let's have a look what else we can do. An integration question. I can already see what they're going to ask for. They just want to find the area of this, and there's a tangent to a curve. I don't even really need to read the question, so let's just do this. Let's find the equation of the tangent. So let's go straight in and differentiate this thing. It's going to be, I like to write this in index form though. I'll pull the power down, and I'll reduce the power by 1. I'm then going to pull this power down, so I'm going to do a half of this. It's going to be a minus x to the minus a half. The 3 just goes to nothing. And it's talking about the P coordinate is 4, so I need to find the gradient. So when x is equal to 4, am I going too fast, guys? This is so weird for me to do this, but let me know if I'm going too fast. In a second, I'm going to have a look at the chat and see what's going on. So this is 8 over 3, and then this is a half, I think, minus a half. 4 to the minus 0.5 is obviously a half, so it's 8 thirds minus a half. It's 13 over 6. I need to find the y coordinate of p. So when for p, x is equal to 4, y is equal to, I'm going to sub straight into this, it's going to be 16 over 3 minus 2 times 2 plus 3. So it's 16 thirds minus 4 plus 3, that's 13 thirds. So we now have the gradient. The gradient is 13 over 6. The y coordinate we've just said is 13 over 3. And the x coordinate is 4. So I'll do y minus y1 is equal to m brackets x minus x1. Let's see what's going on here. People like the pace. It doesn't matter if you don't follow along. It's just kind of fun to see what's going on, okay? So I'm going to multiply everything by 6. So it's going to be 6y minus 26. And I'm also going to expand the brackets, which is, what's that, 2652. What do they want it to look like? 13x on the right-hand side. So it's going to be a 13x minus 6y minus 26, which is what they wanted. So I'm happy with this. And then basically they just want us to find the area of R. So I need to just find out what this part of the triangle is. The length of this, sorry, the height of this triangle is 13 over 3. We worked that out earlier. I need to find out where this is crossing the axis. So when it crosses the y-axis, the x-axis, excuse me, that is when y is 0. So that means that 13x minus 26 is 0, so x is 2. So this is 2, which means the base is 2. So the triangle area is just going to be the base times the height times a half. Remember the area of a triangle, those cancel. So it's going to be 13 over 3. So what I'm going to do is integrate the whole thing, and then at the end, I'll make sure that I subtract that 13 over 3, which is the triangle part that goes with this. So I'm going to be integrating the curve between 0 and 4. So integrating the curve between 0 and 4. Obviously, I would do this working out at the bottom of the page, but when I'm doing it on a screen, it's kind of hard to keep going up and down and up and down. So I'm integrating a third x squared minus 2x to the half. Whoa, minus 2x to the half. I'm going to need to have a good rest after this. Plus 3 with respect to x. So increase the power, divide by the new power. Increase the power, do 2/3 of that, so it's going to be minus 4/3, and then 3x, and that's between 0 and 4. Obviously, I just want to get this in the calculator as soon as possible, but I need to show the examiner that I know how to do this. By the way, if I was doing this in the real thing, I probably would be doing a lot more checks and using the calculator as I go to check. So it's going to be 64 over 9. And in fact, let's just quickly do this 4 to the power of 3 over 2. 4 to the power of 3 over 2 is 8, times that by 4, divide that by 3. So I have 64 over 9 minus that answer plus 12, which is 76 over 9. I would check that with the calculator. So this means that the area of R is 76 over 9 minus 13 over 3, which was the triangle area that we had from earlier on. I hope I haven't made any mistakes. I'm going to have a look at the chat in a second and see what's going on. Maybe it's a bit hard to kind of keep up with this sort of stuff, but there we go. I think that's going to be right. If we get it wrong, it's going to be very interesting at the end to kind of look through a mark scheme and be like, this is interesting. I wonder how things have gone. Okay, so we're on question 10, and oh my God, no, we're not on question 10, we're on question 11, and we've done 33 minutes for this. Okay, if this is too fast, maybe next time I'll do something different for a live stream, but I like to try out different kinds of things for this as well. So we've got this circle with this equation. The second I see this, I want to write it in its standard form. So I have an x squared minus 10x. That's going to be an x minus 5 squared minus 25. And then for the y part, I have a y squared minus 8y. That's going to be a y minus 4 squared with a minus 16. And there's still the 32. So in the standard form, it's x minus 5 squared plus y minus 4 squared equals 25 plus 16 minus 32, which is 9. So I've basically answered part A already. The center of the circle is 5, 4. The radius of the circle is the square root of 9. The radius is 3. And I just want to check that 5, 4 looks roughly correct. 5, 4 does look roughly correct, and the 3 looks good too. It says find the shortest distance. We've got in a line here. We're going to find the shortest distance between C, the circle, and the line. So I think we need to use the center of the circle, and I know that the shortest distance is to do with these things being perpendicular to each other. I know that this distance here is 3, and I know that the gradient of this line, I can figure some stuff out to do with the gradient. So let's have a look at the 2y plus x plus 6. So 2y plus x plus 6 equals 0. That means 2y is minus x minus 6. So y is minus a half x minus 3, which means the gradient of the perpendicular is 2. So that means that the gradient of this line that we have here, this line, the gradient is 2. And it's passing through the centre of this circle, which has centre 5, 4. So what I'm going to do is find the equation of this green line and then the equation of this line, find out where they intersect. Yeah, this is a lot of marks. And then find that distance and then subtract 3 from this. So this seems like an awful lot of stuff that needs to be going on. I'm not really looking at the chat. I hope everyone's doing okay in the chat here. How many people we've got? We've still got 150 people. Jeez, this is amazing. So I'm going to do the equation of that green line, which has got a gradient of 2 and it's going through 5, 4. So we have y minus, the gradient is 2. Y minus 4 equals 2x minus 5. That's y minus 4 equals 2x minus 10. So y is equal to 2x minus 6. And I want to find out where that crosses 2y plus x plus 6 equals 0. So I'm just going to sub that straight in. So 2y would be 4x minus 12 plus x plus 6 equals 0. So that's 5x equals 6. I'm going to do the 12 and the 6. So x is 6 over 5, which means that y is 2 times 6 over 5 minus 6, which is minus 18 over 5. I might do these as decimals, so that's 1.2 and minus 3.6. So I now know that this coordinate here is, what did I just say that was? 1.2 and minus 3.6, 1.2 and minus 3.6. I'm now going to find the distance between 5, 4 and 1.2, 3.6. And then what I will do is subtract 3 from it because I don't want the whole distance, I just want this part of the distance here. So I'm going to do the shortest distance between my coordinates, which are 1.2 minus 3.6 and 5, 4. That shortest distance doing Pythagoras, I'll find the difference between 5 and 1.2 by subtracting them. That is 3.8, and I'll do Pythagoras to it. And then the difference between these is 7.6, and I'll do Pythagoras. So 3.8 squared plus 7.6 squared, square root the answer. So that is 19 root 5 over 5, which means the shortest distance, I think I must have done a mistake here because this doesn't look like a very nice number, is going to be 19 root 5 over 5 minus 3. So I really feel like I've probably made some mistake in this question, but I'll have to figure out that mistake when I look at the mark scheme, because this is a speed run. This isn't me trying to do like everything. Well, it is me trying to do everything perfectly, but you know, we're learning some things here that if you make a mistake, this is how we make mistakes through rushing too much. Okay, looks like some kind of differentiation question. A company makes drinks containers out of metal. The containers are modelled as closed cylinders, okay, with base radius r and height h, just in case that's useful, and they have a capacity of 355 each. The metal used for the circular base, and the curved side costs 0.4 and the circular top is more expensive. So this one is the most expensive one that we've got here. Both metals are used of negligible thickness. Show that the cost is given by this. Ooh, that's very interesting. So first of all, I'm going to find out the cheaper part. The cheaper part is going to be the area of this outside. Now, they've also told me that the capacity is 355. Interesting. Okay, so I think I know a couple of things. I'm going to start off by just writing out the fact that I know the volume is 355, and I also know that the volume is going to be pi r squared times by the height. So I might need to use that later on. And now if I do the cheaper part, the cheaper part's cost, well, it's going to be the area times by 0.04. So I'll just do the area part to begin with. That's going to be the circle that's at the bottom, which is pi r squared. And then this rectangle that unfolds is going to be 2 pi rh, 2 pi rh. So the cost is going to be 0.04 multiplied by pi r squared plus 2 pi rh. Now I'll do the expensive lid. The expensive lid, I can go straight in with the cost. It's going to be 0.09 multiplied by pi r squared. So overall, the cost is going to be this stuff and this stuff. So that's 0.04 pi r squared plus 0.08 pi rh plus 0.09 pi r squared. So I can add these two bits together and get 0.13 pi r squared, and then I get 0.08 pi rh. But this is my issue here. I don't like the h because I have no h in this. So I'm going to have to find out what h is using this. So I'll do 355 over pi r squared is equal to h. So that's going to be 0.13 pi r squared. This is a nice question in the sense that it's very unpleasant. So I get 355 over pi r squared. Tidying this up, the pi cancels with this, the r cancels with this, and I'm just going to say that we have 0.13 pi r squared. I'll do 0.08 times by 355, which is 28.4. That's 28.4 over r. Great. I wasn't sure what to do with that one, and then it just kind of worked out for this as well. This is for year 12s and year 13s. I wonder if I've got anything else that's missing in the chat here. Sometimes I'm just looking at the chat to give myself a bit of a breather. We've done 40 minutes. I don't even know how many questions we've got left. Okay, so that's the cost. Pretty sure that's all correct. We're now going to find calculus to find the value of r for its a minimum, giving it to three significant figures. So we know for this, we just differentiate dc by dr. This is 28.4 r to the minus 1. So when I differentiate this, remember I'm differentiating with respect to r, I'll pull that 2 down, so it becomes 0.26 pi r. And then this minus 1 for this next part gets pulled down, so it's going to become minus 28.4 r to the minus 2. And I want this thing to be equal to 0, so that's minus 2.6 pi r minus 28.4 over r squared. So 28.4 over r squared equals 0.26 pi r. Multiply it by the r squared, so that I get r cubed, and I'll divide by the 0.26 pi like this. So r is going to be the cubed root of 28.4 over 0.26 pi. 0.26 times pi, 28.4 divided by the answer, cube root of the answer. The radius is 3.26 centimeters to three significant figures, which seems reasonable for how big a can would actually be. So we get 3.26 for this. And then it says, find using the second derivative prove that the cost is minimized for the value found in r in part b. So now I need to differentiate this thing here again, so that I get the second derivative. That's just going to be 0.26 pi, no r. And then the minus 2 is going to get brought down, so it's going to become a times 2. So it's going to be a plus 28.4 times 2, which is 56.8 r to the power of minus 3. So when r equals 3.26, the second derivative is going to be 0.2. In fact, I'm just going to get it all in the calculator straight away. 0.26 pi plus 56.8 times by 3.26 to the power of minus 3. It is 2.456, which is greater than 0, hence it is a minimum. Remember, if it's positive, it's referring to a minimum that we've got here. Whew. Are people enjoying this? Just let me know while I have a sip of water. Is this fun to watch, or is this just like a weird thing to watch? If I do this by myself, I just wouldn't be talking. So it's kind of weird for me to be like talking out loud with this. And then it says, hence find the minimum value of c, giving your answer to the nearest integer. Well, that's really easy. We just need to substitute r back into this equation that we've got here. So for part D, that means that the cost is going to be, I wonder if I can still see this all at once. It's going to be 0.13 pi times by 3.26 squared plus 28.4 over 3.26. And it wants it to the nearest integer. So 0.13 times pi times 3.26 squared plus 28.4 over 3.26 to the nearest integer. I think it's in pence, or is it in pounds? It's in pence. Oh, interesting. Okay, that makes sense actually. You're not going to make a can. So it's 13p for this. So each can is 13p. I don't know, that kind of feels like reasonable for this. It just feels reasonable. If someone says it's overwhelming, it's not supposed to be, mate, it's not supposed to be something you're following along. Not really. This was just me, like, trying something new. I could do this, like, way slower if we needed to. Is this it? Is this it? I've got 13 and 14. Oh, we can easily do this in an hour. Let's get this done in an hour. And then we can all go and enjoy the sunshine for a bit of an evening. So I'm going to show that this thing is equal to this thing. My instinct, I don't know why I have this instinct. My instinct is to work on the left-hand side. Tan theta is sine theta over cos theta, because then I can like add those things together. 1 over cos theta plus sine theta over cos theta. This looks very weird though, because I then have, they do have a common denominator, so I just get 1 plus sine theta over cos theta. Which is not really what I was expecting for this. 1 over cos theta. Tan theta is sine theta over cos theta. So I've got 1 plus sine theta over cos theta. Now I need to show that that's the same as 1 minus sine theta. How am I going to do that? Okay, I'm going to come back to that in just a second. I'm going to give myself a bit of thinking time on that one, because that seems a bit strange. But I'm now going to use this to help me solve this one. So I can replace this thing with this thing. Apart from, it looks like the theta has been replaced with a 2x. So I can say that it's going to be a cos 2x over 1 minus sine 2x equals 3 cos 2x. So when I multiply everything up, I get a cos 2x equals 3 cos 2x, 1 minus sine 2x, like this. So I can divide both sides by cos 2x. Now, if you divide by cos 2x, that means that cos 2x could be equal to 0. So if I get rid of this and I get rid of this, I have 1 equals 3 lots of 1 minus sine 2x. 1 equals 3 minus 3 sine 2x. So what's that going to be? 1 minus 3 is minus 2. So it's minus 2 divided by minus 3 is sine 2x. So sine 2x is 2/3. And then my other one is that cos 2x is equal to 0, which means when cos is equal to 0, that's at pi over 2 and 3 pi over 2. What range does it want? Just between 0, I'm doing it in radians, so let me just get this out of radians in my mind for a second. It's going to be 90 degrees and 270 degrees. So I actually don't think we're going to need to even use that 270 degrees. I think it's just going to be the 90, so x is 45 degrees. And then I'll do the inverse sine of 2/3, and then I'll half that so that I get x is 20.9 degrees. But actually I think I might need to get both solutions. I think there might be another one. So if I do the inverse sine of 2 over 3, and then I do 180 minus the answer, and I half that, there's another solution, which is 69.1 degrees. So I think I've got 1, 2, 3 solutions for this one. Of course, I would check this. This is really strange to me. Maybe I should be working on the right-hand side for this. What am I doing? Anyone got any ideas of what I should do for this? Oh, okay, let's see. Okay, I've seen it in the chat. Someone has recommended, let's multiply the top and bottom by 1 minus sine theta. Something doesn't feel right for this. I'm going to come back to this one, okay? I'm going to come back to this. I will do this as my final thing. Something just feels a bit off, and I'm not really sure like why I can't spot what needs to be done for this. They always like to finish with a proof question. A student states, if x squared is greater than 9, then x must be greater than 3. Determine whether or not this statement is true, giving a reason for your answer. Well, if x is minus 5, then x squared is 25. This is an example where x squared is greater than 9, but x is less than 3. So it's not true. And then part 2, prove for all positive integers n that this is divisible by 6. Okay, I know how to do this kind of one because this is a weird one that we have here. So let's see, we have n cubed plus 3n squared plus 2n. I'm going to factor out the n so that I have n squared plus 3n plus 2. I'm now going to factorize this, which is going to be an n plus 1 and an n plus 2 that we've got here. This is 3 consecutive integers being multiplied. At least one is even, and exactly one is a multiple of 3. So, as it is even and a multiple of 3, it is a multiple of 6. I think this was originally asked in like a GCSE paper as well. Okay, I need to figure out what's going on with this question. I'm gonna cheat and look at the chat for a second. Maybe I want to work on the right-hand side instead, because I don't want to use anything with like sec theta or anything like this. Start from the right. Yeah, let's start from the right. Let's try something. Let's start from the right, because it's obviously not working for me like this. So if I have cos theta over 1 minus sine theta, let's multiply by 1 plus sine theta and 1 plus sine theta. I don't know if this is going to do me any good. Let's try it. The numerator becomes cos theta plus cos theta sine theta all over 1 minus sine squared theta. Here we go. And 1 minus sine squared theta is cos theta. So that's cos theta plus cos theta sine theta. Wow, this is a hard question. Over cos squared theta. I can then cancel that cos theta and that cos theta with this, so that I have 1 over cos theta plus sine theta over cos theta, which is tan theta. Thank you to, who gave me that idea? Suleiman. Suleiman gave me this idea that we've got. So 51 minutes and 45 seconds. 51 minutes, 55 seconds. This is a 2-hour paper. Let's see what mark we've got. I haven't even checked any of my answer for this. That was a tough question. That was a tough question, that one that we had there. I would have spent a long time thinking on that. And you know what? Starting on the right-hand side is probably a good idea. So let me just quickly switch to this while I then find the mark scheme. So this is the AS Pure, what did we do? 2022. Okay. Let's go back to the beginning and let's see how many ridiculous errors that I've made. I would have an hour and 4 minutes or an hour and 3 minutes to spare in this paper. Okay, let's start marking and see what we've got. So here is the mark scheme for 2022. Let's go. And I want to use, obviously I need to use a red pen for this. So we've got 2x to the 4 minus 3x to the half plus 5x plus c. That's 4 marks. Okay. EV is cool, help me with this one, because we do need to say that it is a factor. So I've definitely got the first part correct, all good. And then I have 2 minus 1 and 5. What does it even want me to do for that? Oh yeah, 2 minus 1 and 5, that's all correct. I did b squared is minus 4ac, I've got all the explanation, and I got the x is 2 for that last part. Okay, let's have a look at this one that I spent ages on because I was trying to do too much teaching. There's my 10/20, there's my 10 root 5, and there is my 9 minus 7, all good. Okay, that was to show that question, I did that. I had x is 3, and we had 13.2 for the last question that you can see here. Okay, the algae one that we've got, we have the 3.162 times 1.072 t, so that's correct. The initial mass of algae, the ratio of algae from 1 week to the next, yep, I think that's perfectly fine for my explanations, so I'll give myself those 2 marks. We then have 5.5 kilograms. Where is my 5.5 kilograms? There it is. And 3.38 weeks. They say AWRT 3.4. That means answers which round to. So that is definitely correct here. And why it's not a realistic model, they've said the model predicts unlimited growth, which is exactly what I've said as well. So I'm going to say, yes, I've got this correct. Okay. Next question, we have 6561 minus 3888x, 1008x squared minus 448 over 3x, that's all correct, and the 1736 over 3. Okay, next question. We have fully factorized it, as it's got here. We then have the shape, the 3, the 0, the 3, that's all good. And then we've got it's between minus 6 root 3 and 6 root 3 that we have here. I wonder if they've got any other things that they accept for the set notation. Look, they even let you do the set notation like this, even without the k part at the beginning. But we definitely had that part correct as well. Okay, what are we on? Question 8. I've got to remind myself I'm not rushing anymore. So question 8 was this one. So k was 0.8. We had 3.89 minutes. They said 3.9. Ours is more accurate. That's fine. And then 0.258. You can see that down here. So that one is also correct. For the logs question, it is p minus 2, correct. And a half p, that's correct. And then the answer that x is a ninth. So that's all good. I don't know why I've started putting these circles all over the place. Let me get rid of that. It's making it look so messy. What do we think? 100%? Let's see. So we did a show that question. I knew that that was fine, but the exact area of R was 37 over 9, which we can see here. This one I think was probably the hardest question on the paper, the circle question, by the way. So it was, these are correct, the center and the radius 5, 4, and it was 19 root 5 over 5 minus 3. I thought this was going to be wrong, but there it is. I've got it right, and there is the 19 root 5 over 5 minus 3. That was a hard question. I think that was a hard question in terms of thinking. I didn't have time to explain it. I just went rush. I also think this was a very hard question as well. This was a show that question, so it was correct. We then have 3.26 for the value of R, which I have down here, so I can give myself those marks. The second derivative, we said that it was 2.45, which is greater than 0, hence it was a minimum, so that's correct. And the minimum cost was 13 pence that we have down here, which you can see over here. And then the trig question, I rushed this. Oh, I didn't rush this, I spent a long time on this one. Yeah, interestingly, we needed to multiply the top and bottom. We did get that one right, but I had to help from the chat for that. So thank you very much for people who helped me in the chat with this one. And then they've got 20.9. Oh no, I'm going to lose a mark. This is so annoying because they said that cos 2x is not equal to 0. So why did I do that? Now, will I lose a mark for this? Because if so, that's so annoying. If they find x equals 45, it must be rejected. Oh my God, 4 marks. That's so annoying. And then question 14. I've got an example here, so that's fine. And then it's a consecutive integers. All of that's explained in this part here. So how many marks is this paper even out of? What does it say? 100 marks. I am so annoyed. I didn't read the question properly. I rushed. But I will give myself 99 marks for this. Okay. I'm tired. Let me have a look at the chat and see if I can answer a few questions, and then we'll finish up. Adam said, did I see the Switch 2 Direct? Of course I saw the Switch 2 Direct. I am very, very excited about it. I was hoping for a bit more of an announcement rather than just Hyrule Warriors for Zelda. Some of the stuff about Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom moving across seemed cool. That seems good. What else have we got here? The algae question. Why would the Q in the rate the algae accretes? The rate in which the mass of the algae increases, I don't know why they wouldn't. It's because maybe they need more specific about like the percentage kind of thing that we have there as well. My Turkish is going really well. I'm working very hard on my Turkish at the moment. I'm trying to do at least a couple of hours of lessons a week, plus all the homework that kind of goes alongside that one as well. Someone said, can I do proof of divisibility on that last one? I don't know if it would work with the third maths one. That proof is so common. I've seen that so many times. I cannot believe I got 99. I'm so annoyed. I deserved to get 100 for that. That was so silly of this. If I tried to speedrun a step paper, oh my God, I'm not even going to be able to finish it, let alone speedrun it. So what do you want me to do for the next live stream, guys? Well, we've got someone from Pakistan. That's amazing. What do you want me to do for the next live stream? Where should be in terms of revision? You should be doing a lot of practice papers right now. That's what I really want to see you guys doing, a lot of practice on this. Yeah, Ash, tell me what the easier method for the trig identity is. I think I'm going to be a good few years before I do my A level in Turkish. I need to get to like year 7, year 8 level of Turkish. I can only say things like, today I will go to the park. Like, I really can't say very much stuff at the moment. But I will do a video that's in Turkish. So, Yes, so like someone said, as cos 2x wasn't equal to 0, I could have just cancelled it, and I didn't need to do all of this faff that I did over here. I could have just cancelled it and completely ignored that part, but I gave the extra answer of 45, so I get deducted a mark that you've got there. Suleiman, no, if you've got an offer for maths at uni and you don't do further maths, you won't have a big disadvantage. You know what you could do over the summer is you could use some of my further maths videos, the core pure stuff, just to kind of give yourself a bit of an advantage with some of that stuff. I will do some walkthroughs as well. I think I'll do some walkthroughs that we've got here, but I don't think I should go with maybe the speed that I did here. What did we think? Overall, was this fun to do it fast? Like, or was this a bit of a waste of time? I really enjoyed doing the speed run. I enjoyed like knowing that people were watching me and being like, how are you going to do? How are you going to do? I'm going to actually just jump back to this so I can actually see you all properly. See you all, so more like you can see me properly. Okay, I don't think that this is being very smoothly done here, which says it's got like a bit of a bad health for this. It's not got a very good bit rate that we've got here. So there might be a bit of lag, which means I'm going to finish off at this point. There might be a bit of a lag for this. I think maybe my internet is being a bit slow, which is fine. Yeah, I think speed run for an AS paper is good. A-level paper, I think paper we should go a bit slower. So I will plan to do a live stream. I'm probably not going to do a live stream next week because I'm doing all of the Aiming for A-star sessions. If you want to come to the Aiming for A-star sessions, the further maths ones are still available, but the maths ones are sold out. You can get a recording, but I'm also going to do a special session that is just for the people that have bought a recording, where we can hang out like this. I can answer some questions. If there's anything that you've misunderstood from any of like the sessions or any of the videos, then there's an opportunity for me to kind of go through those things. I just want to figure out a way that I can like connect with people and do some like face-to-face stuff, or you know, like computery kind of stuff. I want to figure out a way of doing that. So if you have bought the recording, probably like a week or 2 weeks later, I will do like a session where people with the recording will meet on Zoom and I can answer any particular questions from the session or just any general questions about revision and stuff as well. So the exact time that this took, I think, was 51 minutes. It was actually 51 minutes and 46 seconds, and I got 99. It would have been such a good flex to be like, oh, I got 100. Alas, I did not. I actually do have a Discord server, so you can do this. How do you tell me what, Pranay? How do you tell me what? Okay, I probably will do mechanics next. I probably will do mechanics next. Right, I am absolutely exhausted. I probably will upload this document and put it in the description or somewhere so that if you want to look at it again. But if not, that's all good. What did Pranay say? Someone said that's such a good idea. I'm going to try and do a lot of live streams. Yeah. Is that Pranay as in Pranay from the Discord? That's so good. I love it when people come back after having like worked with me somehow. FP2 speedrun, geez, it's going to take a full hour and a half. It's going to take every single part of the paper that we've got. So I'm going to wrap this up here. Thank you so much for coming to this live stream. It's been so much fun. I've absolutely loved this. If you enjoyed this, make sure you're subscribed to the channel. I need to get to 100k. I want to get to 100k by the end of 2025. Just because it's such a cool thing to be able to say that I've done. I never thought I was going to be a YouTuber, and here I am live streaming on a Wednesday night or whatever it is. So yeah, I'd love you to subscribe if you're not subscribed. Like this video. I'm going to go and have a rest. I'm going to go outside and get some fresh air. And just wanted to thank you all again for coming to this. I love doing these live streams. They are just so much fun. Have a great evening, guys. And I will see you soon. Okay, I'll see you soon. Hopefully I'll see some of you in my Zoom classes that are coming up. Okay. Have a good one, guys. Bye.